Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. You are tuned into Straight Talk, brought to you exclusively by Star 92.7 Premium Radio. I am your host, Ruth Anna Young, always honored to be your host here on Straight Talk every Monday through Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here and nowhere else other than Star 92.7. It is 5:02 on the Star 92.7 clock, and it is Wednesday, the 10th of June. Happy birthday to all of you who are celebrating birthdays today. And if you are celebrating an anniversary, happy anniversary to you. 943-3700 is the line in studio. And of course, you can also WhatsApp me at 324-1565. And you can email me as well at straighttalkci@gmail.com. And I have two segments today. In from 5 to 5:30, I am joined by Beth and Dr. Gretchen from CCMI, and we are going to talk about World Oceans Day, and we're going to have discussions around things like reef resilience and other exciting designations that has been placed on places like Little Cayman. So I'm excited to talk to them. Dr. Gretchen is with me in the virtual studio on Straight Talk for the very first time. So we will have a Who Ya Mama Is segment coming up. And then after the break at 5:30, I'll be joined by Flo, and we are going to be talking about superheroes. And I think in the midst of a pandemic, I think we could all use a few superheroes in our lives. So I have a full hour for you guys. So keep it locked all the way up until 6 o'clock this evening. But you guys know the deal. Before we go any further into our conversation, we always start our time with the reading of the Daily Bread. So today's Daily Bread is entitled God Stuff. And today's scripture is 1 Peter 3, verse 15, and reads, "Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have." So the writer goes on to write, most of Mike's coworkers knew little about Christianity, nor did they seem to care. But they knew he cared. One day near the Easter season, someone casually mentioned that they'd heard Easter had something to do with Passover and wondered what the connection was. "Hey, Mike," he said, "you know about this God stuff. What's Passover?" So Mike explained how God brought the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. He told them about the 10 plagues, including the death of the firstborn in every household. He explained how the death angel passed over the houses whose door frames were covered by the blood of a sacrificed lamb. Then he shared how Jesus was later crucified at the Passover season as the once and for all sacrificial lamb. Suddenly, Mike realized, hey, I'm witnessing. Peter the disciple gave advice to a church in a culture that didn't know about God. He said, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. Because Mike had been open about his faith, he got the chance to share that faith naturally, and he could do so with the gentleness and respect. We can too, with the help of God's Holy Spirit, we can explain the simple terms what matters most in life, that stuff about God. Thanks be to God for that word today. As always, here on Straight Talk, we remind you, we encourage you to spend time each and every day focused on His word, meditating on His grace and how awesome He is, whether it be the morning or the evening or right here with me, Monday through Thursday on Straight Talk. With that, I invite Beth and Dr. Gretchen into my conversation this afternoon, both with CCMI. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what I am talking about, this is a great opportunity to find all of that out. But before we get into World Oceans Day and what is CCMI for those who don't know, since, as I mentioned, Dr. Gretchen is on air with me for the very first time. And so that means, Dr. Gretchen, everybody is dying to know who your mama is.
Hi, thanks for having us today. Well, I hail from Southern California, so I'm Los Angeles born and bred, but I've been working in the Caribbean for over 20 years. I actually first came to the Caribbean when I was just a young thing, 13 years old, and learned how to scuba dive. And since then, really focused my entire life around becoming a marine biologist and being involved with the oceans. So, I'm actually coming here from Bermuda. I have lived in Bermuda for the last 15 years, where I worked at the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences before joining the team at CCMI as the director of research.
Got it. And so, how long has, and I know you, we spoke about this off air, but you joined us very recently, right? And
Very recently. I
just
only came to Cayman in January of this year, so just before all the craziness began.
Yeah, what I refer to now as the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
I promise you, I felt like we went to bed and woke up in the Twilight Zone, this Twilight Zone called COVID. But welcome, welcome, welcome. And I certainly hope that besides for COVID, you've had at least between January and February, hopefully it was a relatively easy time settling in and all of that. And Beth, it's not your first time with me, I think, but the first time you joined me, it was on the phone, if I'm correct. You called in to join an interview, right?
That is correct. Yeah, I was calling in from Little Cayman, actually. So
Yes.
we're close to it. We're still not in person together, but I'm inching my way closer and closer.
Closer. We have visual now, so
Yeah.
it's good to have you in the virtual studio. But I want to get right into it. And so I first, for those who don't know, because there are some people who are may not be familiar at all when we talk about CCMI. And just so everyone knows, we are referring to the Central Caribbean Marine Institute. And I want, if one of you could just share with everyone what does CCMI do? What is CCMI and what do you do? So they learn a little bit more about the organization itself.
Absolutely. So CCMI, the Central Caribbean Marine Institute, is a marine research, conservation, and education organization. And all of those pieces tie in together. So we're primarily based out of Little Cayman, but we do obviously have a couple of folks here on Grand Cayman. And then we partner with researchers and schools from around the world. We do a lot of education with students from the local community here. In a simpler time, we brought students over for a 3-day marine ecology course from lots of the different elementary schools here on Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac to come over, learn about the marine environment and fish and coral, learn about threats to our oceans and what makes them so special and important to us. And they got to go out and do snorkeling and be out in the field and see what is at their literal back door every day and really get a great introduction into everything that is right here for them. We also work with older students, university students, high school students. We do some really cool programs with students in the community here, like the Young Environmentalist Leadership course, or YELP. And like I said, we do partner with researchers from around the world who come to look at the pristine, beautiful reefs that we have in Little Cayman and conduct really important research there into threats to the marine environment, into how coral reefs and our oceans are adapting and can better adapt to the changing climate and ocean conditions that we have. And some of that partnership is what then brought Dr. Gretchen to join us. And I'll let her talk a little bit about her research, which is very cool.
Mhm.
Okay, and that was the next question actually on my mind. As she mentioned, Dr. Gretchen has joined CCMI as the director of research, and joining us after 15 years, as she mentioned, in Bermuda. And so, if you could just explain, Dr. Gretchen, what is your role at CC, like as a director of research? What are you there to do? Like, what is your role entail? And Beth has alluded to your research, so I'd like to learn a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, as the director of research, my role is to sort of guide the general trajectory of what we study as an organization. So, what is our mission in terms of our research agenda, and how can we achieve that goal? So that's really looking to collaborate with people from around the world that can come and address questions of coral reef resilience. So how are corals and the organisms that live on the coral reefs able to persist over time? What features make them more robust or more tolerant of changing conditions or any sort of change in the environment? And that's our main research focus right now. And so going forward, we're trying to, ask the right questions, do the right kind of science that will get us towards those answers. And so really my role is figuring out who we work with, how we make that happen, and how we design our experiments in order to really address these questions efficiently. So when I was in Bermuda, my research was along a similar lines. So I was looking at the evolution and adaptation of corals to changing conditions and really to extreme environments. So I am a technical diver, which in Bermuda was actually kind of rare. I was one of only a few people that were able to dive to significant depths using a rebreather. Here in Cayman, I'm not that of a much of a minority anymore. But it's really great to have such a strong diving community that I'll be able to tap into and work with as we explore the deeper reefs here in Cayman as well. And we use this sort of as a mechanism to understand how corals can adjust to changes by looking at how they can tolerate differences across this depth gradient on the wall here in Cayman.
Okay, and if time allows, I've made a note because I have some questions of my own as to the the broader picture around this type of research. But I want to make sure we cover some of the more I guess the more pressing things that we wanted to discuss today. And so this week on Monday, this past Monday, we celebrated World Oceans Day, right? If I'm correct, right?
That's
Um,
correct.
and- right. And so that was Monday, and that is, and that's an annual celebration, so to speak, every single year. And it was this past Monday, but we're getting the time to chat today. And there's some exciting designations that Little Cayman has received over the years. One of which is that of a Mission Blue Hope Spot,
Yes.
right? So if you could explain to everyone what is the importance of Little Cayman being designated of a Mission Blue Hope Spot. I keep saying hotspot.
A hope spot, which is much better than a hot spot, I think.
Yes. I
Um,
would say.
so this is something that we're really excited about, and we just were able to announce that designation on Saturday. So we celebrated World Oceans Day a little bit early.
Okay.
But basically, for us, this means it's a recognition of how important the reefs and the marine environment around Little Cayman are, and not just within our local area, but throughout the region. And it actually has global importance because it part of the application process, part of the criteria that Mission Blue reviews is looking at the biodiversity of the reefs, the health of the reefs, what important things you have going on there. So our coral spawning is really important on Little Cayman. the protected Nassau grouper spawning aggregation site that occurs just off the west end of Little Cayman is critically important, and the Department of Environment has done a great job of protecting that site. All of the complex interactions that take place on those reefs and basically the state of those reefs have made us worthy of global recognition as a hope spot. So this is a place where we can look to, people from around the world can look to and say, this gives us hope for the future of our oceans and thus our planet, right? Because it's all interconnected. So it's a really great celebration of what so many people here already know, that Little Cayman is a beautiful, special place that is worth protection and recognition.
And you know something, Beth? The funny thing is there are many of us who right here from the Cayman Islands have, even those who've either spent many years here or been born and bred here, many of us may have never either ever gone to Little Cayman, much less to be able to appreciate what's under the water
Mm-hmm.
in Little Cayman. I will raise my hand and say I am guilty of such travesty, right?
Rosanna, we talked about this last time. We must get you over to Little Cayman.
I know. And the unfortunate reality is that I am certainly not the only one. And so I'm glad that you were able to elaborate on that a little bit for me, because we take for granted being here in Grand Cayman or even Cayman Brac, what we have that is so special across the three islands.
Mm-hmm.
And I think many of us have heard of CCMI and the work that is being done there, but we don't always appreciate quite how significant it is and the fact that it is literally in our backyard,
It is
right?
literally in your backyard. And actually, Georgetown Harbor is also designated as a hope spot. It was designated as such, I think, in 2016.
Okay.
So I think it's just worth, tying in the fact that it is also here in your backyard. I think Little Cayman is pristine and protected because there's so little development there, but particularly as we've seen while everything has been so quiet and still here, my gosh, right here in Georgetown, it's so gorgeous. The water is so blue. The reefs are amazing, and we're really incredibly fortunate. I mean, look, we've brought Gretchen from Bermuda and originally from California. We do bring in people from around the world to Cayman because you're right. Even here, I mean, we shouldn't take it for granted, but we should acknowledge that yes, the reefs here are amazing as well.
Mm.
Absolutely. And
That crystal blue water, right?
yeah, gosh, I digress, and this is but I have to, I was reminded during this period, I think one of my first visits to the beach in the earlier part of the curfews and the lockdown. Now, one of my favorite spots is actually Smith's Back of Deer, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's often on a normal basis between residents and cruise tourists and stuff. There's often quite a bit of traffic in the area. And I remember going after probably like when we first got clearance to kind of go to the beach. And I was astonished by the fact that like so many fish were playing right up near the shoreline because we weren't there to disturb them, right? But it was a beautiful experience to see, all the little fish and some larger ones actually coming so close to shore because they had been undisturbed for so long and maybe rummaging for food as well. But it was a reminder to me because it was so still and so quiet, because I tend to go early in the morning when the sun isn't too hot. And it was just such a grand reminder, despite the fact that, I go to the beach frequently enough with my daughter, but seeing it after when it's that undisturbed was just like a once in a lifetime reminder of just really what we have here, even what we're able to access at a shore level, much, and not even to mention, once we go, go further into the depths, and I can only imagine what that must be like. But I am committed to learning to dive this summer so I can find out what all of you are talking about, right?
Yes.
See some of it myself.
And even without diving, because our waters here are so clear, you really can see so much and enjoy so much of that natural beauty from the surface. And we're very, very fortunate. I think a lot of people have had the opportunity to pause and recognize how amazing it has been, and really appreciate what's there, which is actually a really great benefit.
Absolutely. And to also, you guys did a new report. CCMI released a report recently called Coral Reef Resilience Over 2 Decades at Little Cayman Island, right?
Mhm.
And there's some key implications and information that has been released in that report. If you could, share with everyone, I'm sure the title of the report should indicate the duration of the study. So, and if I am correct, this was something studied over essentially 20 years. Yes?
That's correct.
Okay, so what did you, in the report, what did you guys find as a result of this research? If you could give me the highlights of that
Mhm.
report.
So what we found in our study was that CCMI has been surveying the reefs around Little Cayman every year for 20 years, so since 1999, so actually 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have found with those surveys is that the coral has been relatively well maintained. So we've gone from, roughly 24% of coral cover across the reefscape to around 20% coral cover. But
Mm-hmm.
this change has been very gradual, and this is not typical of what we have seen in other parts of the Caribbean. So in other locations, like even just next door in Jamaica, for example, the reefs underwent a very rapid and strong decline in the late 80s and mid 1990s. And so, we haven't had that same situation here in Little Cayman. Our research actually shows that the reefs here are quite stable and appear to be more resilient than reefs in other Caribbean locations. So that's one of the highlights of the report, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
We've also found that the fish populations are also relatively stable. So we didn't find a significant change in our fish community populations in the terms of the number of fish or the biomass of fish that are swimming around on our reefs. And again, we think that this really highlights what a great job the Department of Environment and other stakeholders have done in protecting this reef environment and this resource. Because again, like other locations in the Caribbean have completely lost a lot of their larger fish species, particularly things like the grouper, which Beth highlighted. We have this breeding aggregation site on Little Cayman, which is really unique to the region. And so I think, again, this highlights the health of our ecosystem and how unique it is regionally in terms of the health that we have here.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And one thing that comes to mind for me is in this is I know this is a big hefty question, but in as I guess the simplest terms for those of us who are not experts in this field or otherwise. Now, both of you have dedicated what sounds like many years of your lives to this work and this type of study, and dedicated them to underwater life. Why is, for those of us who are not the researchers, those of us who have not committed our lives to this type of work, why is this work so important to you, in the context of why is it important to the greater, to the greater good, really, to us as the wider population? Why is reef resilience, why are all these things, should they be important to us?
Well, the reef in itself provides so many services that we don't really see, just at face value. So, for example, one of the really important things about the reef here is protection of our coastline. So, without the coral reefs, when the hurricanes come or any large storm comes by, that storm surge would be much greater than it is because the reef is buffering that. So, just in that really direct sense,
Yes.
the reef provides protection for us, but it also provides an economic resource in terms of tourism. So, without this beautiful, vibrant, healthy coral reef,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what would we have to offer that is so unique compared to everywhere else? And the fact that the reef here is so healthy is such a great selling point for us as a community. So protecting that really protects that economic resource. and also the health of the fish populations. Again, this is subsistence. We rely on the health of the fish population to feed our community. And so the ability of Caymanians to be able to go out and catch food from the reef, again, is a really great benefit from the health of our ecosystem.
Okay, thank you for
And
that.
it's beautiful.
And many of us need to stop looking at it, and I'm putting myself in all of this, stop looking at it on pictures and come see it for ourselves. And one of the final questions that I have for you before asking for final thoughts, I know that CCMI, along with others, but I know this is always a point of conversation, you've continued to do work on coral restoration and coral
Mhm.
restoration techniques. Is that work ongoing? And what are some of the things that you guys are doing right now in relation to that type of research?
Yes, that work is definitely still ongoing. So we do have a large coral nursery in Little Cayman where we are growing various coral species, but we primarily focus on the staghorn and elkhorn corals because those are two endangered species, but they also grow very quickly. So they're a great species to rear in a nursery environment.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, we are doing a lot of experiments trying to test the best way to outplant these corals onto the reef to recreate sort of reefs of the past. So, not that long ago, we're talking 20, 30 years ago when these corals were the dominant species. So, what are the best ways that we can put them back out onto the reef from our nursery and restore these locations to what they used to be and minimize loss?
Okay.
We're also working to sort of do some fine scale experiments where we look at how different individuals deal with stress, so heat stress or disease exposure. And then we take those individuals that survive that stress and we focus on using them to replenish the reef, as we think that they will probably be more robust and more resilient. So they can really constitute these reefs of the future that will be healthy over time.
Okay. And while I wish I had more time to spend with you guys, the break is coming up swiftly. But we will have other opportunities. I trust we'll have other opportunities, to have these on-air conversations. And I, in particular, I'll put it out there. I, in particular, want to have some more conversations with you guys to help the public understand future careers in this area. And for students who may, or people who may be thinking about it or think that it may be something for them, kind of that journey. So I that's a conversation I look forward to having in the future, because I think that as many of us as Caymanians have grown up around the water, we have not necessarily explored careers in the water, and within the science, the marine sciences and such. So I would definitely like to have that conversation with you guys. But we have 3 minutes until our break. And so I would like to ask each of you to just give final thoughts and reminders to the listening public before we head out to the break.
So I'll start with just saying we would love to have that conversation about more ways that people can get engaged, particularly because CCMI does offer scholarships and internships for Canadians specifically to come over and learn about what life and work at the station is like at different stages of their career and academic trajectory. So yes, let's talk about that more. And this World Oceans Day celebration is going on throughout the week and the month, so we'd encourage people to check us out on social media, with our Facebook page and YouTube to see the video that we released with our Hope Spot launch, and also some summary information about this 20-year survey that was done. And we'll be putting out a lot more information about how this information ties into our year-long campaign that's just titled "We Need Healthy Reefs." So we'll be taking that science that Gretchen has done and translating it into why we need reefs and what we can all do to make an impact to help healthy reefs. That's it for me.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Beth. And Dr. Gresham, final thoughts from you.
My final thought, I would like to say that, we are so lucky to live in such a beautiful place where we have this amazing resource at our fingertips at our back door. So go out there, have a look what's under the water, and become familiar with this beautiful resource and the reef that we have here in Cayman.
Awesome. Thank you both for the work that you are doing and the rest of the team at CCMI. Dr. Gretchen, a pleasure to have you in the virtual studio with me. Beth, good to have you back. And I look forward to our future conversations as well. But guys, it is now 5:30 sharp on the Star 92.7 clock, which means I am going out to my break. And when I return, I will have Flo in studio with me and talking about superheroes. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you've got to tune in to find out. But keep it locked for some more straight talk all the way up until 6 o'clock. And we'll be back right after this break.
Lines are now open. 943-3700. You can also find us on Facebook or email us at straighttalkci@gmail.com.
Burger King has been a part of the Cayman family for decades, and we know our family needs a little extra help right now. So we're introducing the best Whopper deal on the planet. 4 Whoppers for just $10. We are family. I got 4 big Whoppers with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, let's eat. The Burger King Family Bundle. 4 Whoppers for just $10. Available at all Burger King drive-thrus for a limited time.
Do you like winning? How about winning free gas? Free gas from Rubus is as simple as follow, like, tag, and share. Say what? You heard it right. Follow, like, tag, and share. Winners selected daily on our social media platforms. Go to Rubus on Facebook and Instagram. Follow, like, tag 5 friends, and share the post. It's that simple. Daily winners drawn for $25 fuel vouchers. So that's like earning, hold on, like 1 minute of work. It's 60 minutes for an hour. $25 divided by carry the 1. No, forget it. It's definitely worth your time to follow, like, tag, and share with Rubus and win.
All I do is win, no matter what.
Rubus, fuel the difference.
You know, when we look back at our teens, quite often we come to appreciate our parents' efforts to keep us safe. What was restrictive then becomes sound reasoning as an adult. The current curfews are much the same. Temporary restrictions for our community with your long-term health and welfare in mind. We will mature through these challenging times and emerge stronger. Stay responsible now so that our future can be bright. Hashtag Stay home, Cayman.
Flow continues to keep your family connected by bringing you the fastest speeds and best price. Last year, we brought you the Hero Plan. This year, we introduce you to the Superhero Plan. Get our Superhero Plan with 200 megabytes of broadband and TV watch all for only $200 per month. Are you a new customer? Get the first month free when you sign up by July 3rd. Visit discoverflow.ky/hero for details. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Flow Cayman Islands. Terms and conditions apply. Flow, you deserve the best.
Welcome back to Straight Talk with Ruth Anna on Star 927.
We are back, folks, and you are tuned into Straight Talk, brought to you exclusively by Star 92.7 Premium Radio. I am your host, Ruth Anna Young, with you until 6 o'clock this evening. I just concluded the first segment with CCMI, Beth and Dr. Gretchen, and it is 5:32, and I am moving on to having Flo in studio with me. I have Alyssa Christian and Danny Tatum that will be joining me in the virtual studio. I think I have them here. Alyssa, Danny, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, we are here.
Awesome. Welcome back. As I told my audience, we get to talk once again about superheroes today, which is always exciting. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, in the midst of a pandemic, I think we all could use a few superheroes. So they'll be with me until 6 o'clock this evening to talk about their superhero plan. And you don't get no additional Who Your Mama Is segments this afternoon, because I think we covered that with everybody before. But 943-3700 is the line in studio. You can also WhatsApp me with any questions, comments, or concerns to 324-1565, or you can email me at straighttalkci@gmail.com. We are also streaming live video from the Star 92.7 Facebook page. So for those of you who are tuned in via the Facebook stream, you can feel free to leave your questions, comments, or concerns there. But before we talk about superheroes, Alyssa, Danny, how are you doing? Ladies before gentlemen. So Alyssa, how are you? How have you been since we last spoke? I think it's been a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks now.
Yeah, I think it's been a couple of weeks. Yeah, good. Everything's working out, and I think everybody's excited to have a little bit more socialization. So yeah.
Yes. And how about you, Danny? I got a little less time to speak to you on the last interview, but how are you doing? How have you been over the last few weeks?
Oh, we're doing quite good. I have no, like Alyssa just mentioned, now that things are opening back up, things are coming back a little bit more to normal. So yeah, it's been good.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome back. And I am certainly amongst those who are very, very happy to be coming back to some sense of normalcy. But you are both here from Flow. And as we did the last time, we got the opportunity to talk about the Flow Superhero Plan, which you guys have rolled out recently. And so before we go any further, I want to make sure that anyone who is tuned into the show at this point gets to find out like what's the superhero plan, because I've told them like we're going to talk about superheroes. So what is the new Flow superhero plan?
So we're really excited. We're 3 weeks into launching this offer, and the superhero plan is 200 megs of broadband and watch all TV. So all TV channels that we offer, and it's $200. So normally, just to put things into perspective, 100 megs is $200. So we've doubled that, same price, and we've thrown in TV. And then all customers, all new customers, so anybody who doesn't already have broadband with us is getting the first month free, as long as they register or sign up with us before July 3rd.
Okay. And so and then there's also, if my memory serves me correct, for those who may already have a plan with you, right? There is a upgrade, and they get a little bit of a little gifting too, yeah, even if they're already with you but upgrading. Because I think you said they get like the difference.
Yeah, right. They get the difference between the existing, what they're paying now, and what the upgrade is. So, for example, if they were paying, let's say, $159, which was their last year hero plan, and decide to take this new bundle, they would pay $159 still, and for the first month they would get the 200 meg broadband download speeds, and second month they would get they would start paying the $200.
Okay, and so I just wanted to make sure that was super clear, because I think after the last show, I think someone caught it on the tail end, and they're like, "Well, what if we already have a plan?" And so I want to make sure that everyone, even if you are upgrading, right, they have not left you out. And for those, if you're like me and you have no clue about what the importance of the amount of megs are, right? Like I'm just that kind of person that it's okay, I just want to know my internet's working well, right? That whatever that means, however you make that happen. So for those who are less familiar, and that would be me, what's the big deal in getting 200 megs? Like why is that a big deal?
Well, as you know, I'll take this one, Alyssa. As you know, today in today's world, everything in the home is pretty much connected. The kids have iPads, they have video games. Mom and dad has their computer, got their iPads, and over the last 2 months is a good example of that. A lot of people have been working from home. On the standard 25, 30 meg broadband, working from your home, but everybody on board, kids working with their Zoom to do schooling at home. You would get congestion on the lines, right? So what the 200 meg will give you, it'll allow everybody in the house to operate without buffering. That could also mean if you're streaming your video or music or whatever the case, everybody could work at one time. So I'm kind of liking it to traffic on the roads, basically, well, over the last 2 months, it hasn't been much, but we know what it was before that. It would be like putting another 2 lanes in from Georgetown to Savannah. 200 megs would be similar to that. It would be widen the bandwidth so more people could transverse at higher speeds. You get more downloads, you get downloads faster. You could even do 4K streaming for those people that have their 4K TV with interrupting the services in the house for other people. And let's don't forget, Ruthann, we also have people have cameras in their homes, right? They got a Nest thermostats, they got Alexa, they got a Google Talk, they got all this going at once. Things that you don't even think about until you need it. with 2
Right.
megs of broadband speed, I mean, that becomes all insignificant. All of the stuff will work just like you would want.
Okay. And that's for someone like me, that's all I want to know. How do I get this to work? And I know I've had similar conversations with technicians and such, when you do that periodic like call in to figure out, okay, is my plan still working for me? And I'm like, listen, you give me whatever is necessary that makes all of my stuff work. Right. And this sounds
Exactly.
this may be a solution to a lot of people because we saw recently where uh the ICT came out and said that basically all the working from home was putting networks under stress and all those sorts of things. And so for those who choose to upgrade, right, and for those who may currently not have the 200 megabyte megs and wondering, why am I buffering when you and the three kids are home and the smart TV's on and all the kids are on the computers and like you said, all the Alexas and all that sort of stuff. So the solution that they may be looking for is an upgrade, right? They may be looking for a superhero. And I will add that for those who have not seen the superhero mascot, she is a woman. Okay, so
Hey,
so
all the superheroes in our home, women. I mean, let's be serious.
mm-hmm,
Mom
mm-hmm.
does everything. Yeah, right? Mom does everything.
See,
She's superheroes for dads. She does everything.
see, Alyssa, I'm gonna tell you, Danny's smart.
He is smart. This was his idea.
Oh, was the female superhero your idea?
Yeah, it was.
Yes,
He
yes,
gets all the credit.
absolutely.
Okay, well, good job, good job. High five, virtual high five. And I am, for the benefit of those in the Facebook stream, I am going to post the direct link to the website that tells you more about their superhero plan on discoverflow.ky/superhero. And that gives you a bit of a rundown about what's included in the superhero plan. And it also gives you some contact details. But for those who may not be have access to that website right now, I just want to take a minute for those who may be saying, okay, well, that sounds like something that may be for me. How would they reach out to you, and how would they get in contact with you to get the upgrade?
So we've got a few different methods. So the website, the great thing about that landing page is they can fill out a form and that'll go to our local customer care team. And then we will contact you at your preferred day and time that you designate on there. So kind of take that worry out for you. We also have our WhatsApp virtual store. Okay. And I can't stress enough that that's a WhatsApp number only. And that number is 925-3569. Our 925-3569. Our Galleria and Countryside retail stores are open, so you can go and talk to a retail agent in one of those locations. And they can also send an email to cay-flowhelp@cwc.com.
Awesome. And so there are many ways for people to get in contact with you. And as people,
Sorry, there's one more. If you want to talk to somebody on the phone, I
yeah,
knew I was missing something. We have our hotlines specifically just for this. And so that number is 747-5050. And again, that goes straight into our local customer care team.
Okay. And if you could just give that number one more time.
747-5050.
All right. And that's if they want to talk to someone on the phone. So for those of you in the
Yes.
feed, I've posted those phone numbers and the links to the website, including the WhatsApp store. And I think it's important to remind everyone, and we'll do a few more reminders before the end of the show, because I think as many of us have been excited about the reopening of more facilities and more stores, we've been in lockdown so long that we easily forget who's open, who's not open, what locations for certain businesses are open. And I know if you're like me, as much as I have made some adjustments to this, Zoom and phone calling and emails, I very much like the opportunity when it comes, especially when it's things I am not as familiar with, like the difference between 100 and 200 megabytes. I like to be able to go into the store and interact with people and to be able to get that information face to face. So that opportunity is once again available because I know when we first spoke, the people weren't able to go into the stores. And so just a reminder to the audience, which locations can they now visit in person?
So Countryside in Savannah, and then Galleria.
Okay, so they can physically go into that store. And I want to talk a
Mhm.
little bit. We most of us, the internet is of critical importance, and so that's something I wanted to make sure that we stress. That's a big part of this superhero plan is such significant internet speeds, the 200 megs, but it also includes your watch all, right, which is television, right? So it includes your watch all TV bundle. And so for those who either don't have the watch all or may not have TV with Flow at all, I want to, if you could tell them, what is included in the Watch All TV bundle from Flow.
So it would be all
Yeah,
of the network channels that people are used to seeing. All of the sports channels that you're used to seeing, and English Premier League about to kick off. Have Flow Sports, right, which will allow you then to actually start watching that when that kicks off on the 17th.
Okay.
We're happy, big game will be coming up on that day, which is Man City against Arsenal. I'm a guy by the way, so my game will come until the 21st. But in saying folks that are, yeah, but I'm excited because we need 2 games to wrap it all up, and that's going to happen,
Sure.
right?
Okay.
Probably Sunday on the 21st.
Listen to the confidence.
Yeah. And then we also have the Fox movie channels and HBO. You'll have all the HBO and Cinemax as well, right? And then the home and garden shows that you want to see. All about wealth. I think it's the Wealth Channel that they call it. They talk about or show you things that yes, you would like to see in life and behind the doors of the big mansions and the likes, and of course all of the news channels. And I mean, right now, as you know, with COVID, information is golden, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get your
Absolutely.
CNN, your Fox News, your MSNBC, you get all of those, your BBC America, you'll get all of that, right? Including your CBC from Canada. So you got a little taste of everything. And it's over to 150 plus channels, so getting ahead of myself.
That's
So you got
fine.
a lot of it,
100
and especially
megs,
for those that
150 channels.
yes. I mean, for those that like to binge watch as well, we also have the VOD side that you can go and take a look. Anything on the Fox movie channels that you miss, you can go and watch them on the VOD side, which is video on demand.
Okay.
So it's everything you need in TV, to be honest. And of course, on channel 106, we have the government updates for COVID, which is a big deal. Hopefully, the government start making businesses advertise on there so they could make some money to offset some of the costs that they and I just putting it out there for them as an idea because a lot of people still watch that, right? We got our local heroes that are being showcased all the time as well, right? So maybe they start showcasing some of those there and put a little advertising around it so they can pay for some of the things that they incurred, some of the money, the debt that they incurred so far. But it's all on there. And you also have, like I said, the Flow Channel 99, which is the Flow channel. And has a lot of regional and local, not local as much, but a lot of regional coverage. You can see things that are going on around the Caribbean as well, and that's unique to Flow.
Absolutely. And I'm actually while you're sharing that, I actually am scrolling through the channel list, and I'm gonna tell you, I was specifically scrolling for 2 channels and I found them. Okay, because I was like, does this have the Food Network and HGTV?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I'm here scrolling and I was like, channel 270 and 271, Food HD and HGTV HD. It is right there. And there really is something for everyone because you have channels for the kids here, as well as you mentioned, for all, for people who scroll between all of the news channels. And you have, for some of them, you have the Miami stream, but then you also have some of the streams out of and have Fox Action and Fox Movies and Fox Family on there. I am a Fox fan and a HBO fan, so that's exciting news. But I had to first make sure there was HGTV and the Food Network because those are my absolute faves, okay, above all things. There is BET Caribbean, so you get a lot of regional stuff. You also have, Island TV on there on 128. So there is a lot of there's a lot of variety. Even the Al Jazeera HD. I know there are a lot
Yes.
of people who here also watch that. Bravo, TNT. I mean, really, there is something for everybody in the family here. And of course, as you mentioned, I see all your sports channels lined up here: Fox Soccer, ESPN, NFL Network. It is all here. And then for my Lifetime folks, their Lifetime is here.
Good
And
time is there.
yep, eat and entertainment, MTV, everything is here. And one of the things that, because to be honest, I didn't know that CIGTV actually broadcasted on a cable type channel. And I think that's really important for those to know, because I know that many of us, and especially some of our older members in our society, who really rely on being able to access some of this stuff via television, right, and a network. And I think it's really important that if you know that you've had family members or even yourself have felt out of touch with having access to some of the government updates and such via TV versus YouTube, or that type of streaming product, you can, through the flow channel, through this flow package, you have the opportunity to be able to watch on television the CIG TV channel. And I'm going to be very honest and tell you that I didn't even know that was an option, right? And I
Yeah.
think,
Well,
And
and I, and
and
I,
and if they miss it,
yes.
or they come late, they can rewind. I do it all the time.
Yeah. In fact, that's exactly what I do. If I'm on a
Great.
call, right, or in one of the virtual meetings, I'll just go back and rewind just so I can get caught up so I know what's going on with the COVID updates. And then the government, the CIG channel actually do replays as well, right? And good programs on there. I was watching one a few nights ago with Alvin McLaughlin from East End telling his story. And quite interesting, to listen to some of our local folks actually telling the story of their life, So they have some good things on there that, events that take place and people that they're highlighting in the community. So it is interesting to watch, because you learn a lot of history about some of these guys that we just see out, Pirates Week or whatever the case is, and then you learn a lot about them, which I think is pretty good. It's nice, some nice programming on there.
agreed, because I am a big watcher of CIG TV on YouTube. And that, for me, that I do get a lot from that channel, because I go there searching for bits of information. And then, like you say, you also encounter certain special features that they do. So there's a lot that happens on CIG TV that a lot of people, I think, aren't aware of. And so this makes it through Flow TV, you can access it via kind of a standard cable type option. And I see a kind of another category of channels here that will be important to many people in our community. I know we still have a lot of TBN watchers in the community, and TBN is also part of this, the Hope Channel, Inspirational Net. And the Church Channel also part of this.
Absolutely.
Yep. And so I think that's great, but it is truly a very comprehensive bundle through the superhero package from Flow. 3 weeks launch, how, and what's the feedback that you guys are getting after this, this 3 week period? You launched it, I think, possibly the day before we spoke. It was just in the launch stage when we last got on air. And so how are things been going during this 3 week launch period?
Well, it's been sales have been going fairly decent, and considering the challenges that people had, we didn't have stores open. For a virtual store with the WhatsApp stores, as you mentioned, and we're starting seeing things pick up now. We got some work to do still, because most people are a little bit reluctant in coming into the stores. They come to pay a bill and they just want to get out because everybody's masked up and you got a social distancing thing. So, and I push the WhatsApp store for that, the virtual store for that, so we can call you at your leisure, so we can get you connected up. We're going to be doing some more awareness thing out there to the public, so that they're completely aware of it. But sales are coming in as expected since we spoke last. I did see a couple of people posting online that they got it on Facebook and showing the speeds, posting the speeds up there. Kudos to them. It's advertising for us as well. But I would like to also highlight, right? if you're someone with another provider and you're worried about, well, I would like to get that, but I don't want no one coming in the house. Our technicians are completely PPE up. We have masks, we have the actual gowns, if you will, the footers to go, the shoes, gloves. If you see one of my techs dressed, you'll think, well, God, this guy works at a hospital. So we are conscious of that, right? And so no fear there. We're doing that just to make sure our techs are protected as well as our customers. So it's a big deal for us. We didn't really stop our service offering throughout the COVID period because we got the PPE gear early and were, able to go in the homes. And some customers are still reluctant, so we did some self-install kits. The guys came up with these ideas where people could actually help themselves and do the install just by over the phone with the customer, and that worked out for quite a few of our customers. But as it is right now, if you're one of those people that are worried about people coming in the home, our guys are tested. They're being tested now over the last couple of days as well. So far, we haven't had any, but it was positive. No one's showing signs of the virus. And if you're coming to our stores, we actually test your temperature. I don't know if anyone else is doing that on Island, but we check your temperature before you come in as well. So we want to make sure that our staff and our customers alike are protected. So we're doing everything that we can possibly can to stop the spread of this virus. And if you come in your home, rest assured the guys are geared up and well protected.
Awesome. And thank you for taking those extra precautions because as you mentioned there, most people are still very concerned about their health and their safety. And shout out to everybody who's had a COVID-19 test. I had mine last week. Thank God it was negative, but it is not the most pleasant process. It's not the worst, but it's not pleasant, but a necessary evil.
Very necessary.
Yeah, so shout out to your techs who've taken on that feat recently, and happy to hear that so far all have come back negative, which is great news. But as we wind down into these final few minutes right before 6 o'clock, if you could remind everyone, what is included in the new Flow Superhero Plan, and how do they reach out to you guys, so that we just get those final reminders before closing out the show.
Go, Alyssa.
Yeah, so again, the superhero plan is 200 megs of broadband. Download and upload is 40 megs. Right, Danny? Correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, okay, good. And TV watch also, that's over 150 channels. It's all the channels that we offer. To get the superhero plan, there's a variety of methods. They can go to our website, discoverflow.ky/superhero, and fill out the form, and then our team will contact them at their preferred time. They can visit the virtual store, and that's a WhatsApp number only, so you cannot call it. WhatsApp 925-3569. If they want to speak to an agent over the phone, they can call our local customer care team, and that number is 747-5050. Or they can visit one of our stores. So Galleria and Countryside are both open to go and visit a retail agent.
Okay, and then any final thoughts and reminders from you, Danny, before we close out the show?
Well, I mean, thanks for the support that we got so far with the WhatsApp, with the superhero bundle, and all the business. I'd like to thank all the customers that patronize our business. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We upgraded a couple of thousand people over the COVID period so they could work from home. We've gotten huge feedback, positive feedback from those customers. So thank you guys. That was a 3-month upgrade that we gave you. We were happy to do so. And, we were here first. We got to keep things fresh. We got to the market. And that's what we're doing. And by the way, we also have the new Samsung S20s, right? So if you're interested in getting treat that for Father's Day. That's coming up. Come and see us in the store or check us at the virtual store. 925-3569. And, we got a deal for you.
Listen. I'll tell you no lie. I went to the Discover Flow website, and I certainly peeped the S20 on look. Okay. I peeped that and I was like, ooh, because I am a Samsung girl. I apologize to all the Apple lovers. There is absolutely no iPhone for me, right? It is I am a Samsung girl. So I peeped that when I went onto the website. I said, yes. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. We are just about to turn the corner to 6 o'clock. For those listening in, please check it out at Flow. They have launched, we're 3 weeks into their launch of the Flow Superhero Plan. You can upgrade or start your new service with Flow, 200 megs plus 150 plus channels on their Watch All TV package. A great deal for $200 a month. So please get in touch with them if you want to ensure there is no buffering and that your internet can handle the smart TV, the 3 and 4 computers, the Nest, and all of the other gadgets and gizmos, and all the cell phones and whatnot that we are all connecting to Wi-Fi nowadays. But thank you both for joining me, and it is a pleasure as always to have you on the show and to hear what you guys have to offer to us. But guys, and to the public, thank you for listening in this afternoon at 6 o'clock on the button, which means I'm out of here and back again tomorrow at 5 p.m. sharp right here on Star 92.7 for some more Straight Talk.